But I tore my ACL as a freshman and then again as a sophomore. And so that's a season-ending injury. And I thankfully was reading Viktor Frankl's A Man's Search for Meaning at the time I was reading that book. I mean, sorry, at the time I was injured. And he challenged me so much with his story, how he could still be positive. And then a quote around, no matter what happens to me, nobody can steal my freedom to choose how I respond. And that has been a quote that has just stuck with me throughout my lifetime and different adversities that have come my way. Okay, right? I got knocked down, but I still get to choose how I respond to that.
Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS, Sharpen the Spear podcast, with another incredible guest. I've got Diana Fritz with us today. And Diana, as the tradition always goes on STS, no one knows Diana better than Diana. So Diana, give us the backstory, bring us up to speed. We'll get into this great conversation.
Thank you, Richard, for having me on STS. Hopefully no one knows me better than me. That would be the case, right? We hope that. Diana Fritz, I am honored to be on the STS podcast today. I'm going to address the obvious first. So I am a cancer thriver. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I have a unique look about me, missing an eye, and have a fabulous skin patch to cover up that area. And that's from an 11-year journey with cancer. And I like to state that I'm a cancer thriver because I was committed to thrive and not just survive. I didn't want cancer to define me. And before that journey started, I was also a mother, which I proudly claim, being a mom of two teenage boys, an executive, and navigating through a lot of different things along with cancer around helping my company position for sale, trying to drive a great culture around teamwork and working together as one team and breaking down silos. And also then as my cancer journey progressed and led to this point where I have this unique look of one eye, which was just 2 years ago that the eye was removed, I determined that I needed to shift as well to tell my story and the lessons from my cancer journey around adversity, resilience, and grit, which I know, Richard, you can relate to passion around grit, and to do that through speaking as well as podcasts and also a book that was published earlier this year, because I always had a passion around helping people to communicate better, be a better team player, be a better leader. But I also have a passion for helping people that are stuck to figure out a way to learn from the adversity or the pain point and to move forward to help somebody else by the lessons they've learned from that pain point in their life.
That's great. Yeah, I think, Diana, a big thing that people do when they get stuck, whatever the cause is, right? They really stay there too long.
Yeah.
So we've all been there. Okay. I try to move on pretty quick and stuff, but I see a lot of people who and listen, we need that time, right? We need a little bit of time when that stuff happens, but it's really like you said, and I want to talk about this too, is how do you get moving again?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, like I'm about forward movement. I'm a very offensive individual, in the movement aspect. So let's kind of talk about that out of the chute here. Let's talk about that, because what are you doing with people who really, there's people I'm talking stuck like months, years. Okay. Like there's no forward movement. It's just bad.
Yeah. No, and it's as interesting to watch. I mean, I think there was a part of time where nobody really knew that I was on a cancer journey because I had two eyes. I looked pretty normal. And now I don't look normal, right? So it's obvious that I've gone through an adversity, and I'll have many people say, well, how, like, I would just be hiding if I were you, or I wouldn't, be willing to talk about it or be transparent about it. And I listen, and then I just remind them, like, I had no desire to do that, right? There's a moment where I paused and went, okay, this isn't what I was expecting the year I turned 40 to get hit with a rare form of cancer diagnosis. However, I had things in my life, like two young boys, a career, people that were counting on me, friends that I wanted to show up for. And showing up for them was much more important to me than letting the adversity like take me down. And I at times, right, we have to figure out what motivates us the most. Like what's your why, right? What would motivate you to move forward and not be stuck where you are? And organizations need that, people need that, right? That reminder of what their purpose is, what will motivate them to move forward and to connect it to them so that they have a goal and a person or a thing, right, to help them shoot for to move forward.
Yeah, that is important. I'm curious, what do you attribute that that innate kind of drive to go, well, I have people to serve, I have things to do, I have to do all this, but I have this cancer. Like, do you have anything you can attribute to that to? Because people have like, well, my role models growing up, or I was through all this stuff and I've been through all that, so it's just another thing I'm just going to go through. Where'd that come from for you?
Yeah, no, I would attribute it to a few things. My grandmother would be one. I watched her growing up. She was a fabulous example to me. She stood the ground for everybody. No matter if something bad was happening with her, you knew she was going to show up for you and for anybody around her, even people that or maybe were tough on her or didn't like her, right? You knew that she was showing up for them. So her and her faith were just extreme examples for me. I also played basketball in high school and in college. That was an um, important life lessons, right, from my coaches around working hard, getting over things quickly. Because if you don't get over the fact that you just had a turnover, and you let it take you down, like you're getting pulled out of the game, right? You're letting your team down. That element of just having to learn quickly, right, to move past it and get back in the game was certainly helpful to me. And then in college, my third thing, I went to college to play basketball early. And so I just graduated from high school at 16 so I could play college basketball.
Oh,
Really logical in retrospect. But I tore my ACL as a freshman and then again as a sophomore. And so that's a season-ending injury. And I thankfully was reading Viktor Frankl's A Man's Search for Meaning at the time I was reading that book. I'm sorry, at the time I was injured. And he challenged me so much with his story, how he could still be positive. And then a quote around no matter what happens to me, nobody can steal my freedom to choose how I respond. And that has been a quote that has just stuck with me throughout my lifetime and different adversities that have come my way. Okay, right? I got knocked down, but I still get to choose how I respond to that.
yeah, that's awesome. It is about that. It is about the response, and you hear that a lot. That does get bantied about a lot. That saying, oh, you can't choose what happens, but you can choose how you respond. And it's true, right? We all I have really good responses and some pretty poor responses. I think we get a share of each,
We
right?
did.
As we go through, because we're not perfect. And sometimes it's the heat of the moment. You don't have time to think. And what would be the best response here? Although I guess theoretically, we should do that. It doesn't always work that way, but it is really important. One thing I always say too is like winning's, I'm going to call it easy, but can
Mm.
you lose and come back and play the next day?
Right.
That's where the challenge is. It's not winning. Winning's great. Who doesn't want to win? Yeah, okay, we did good. You won, but really, it's that overcoming the adversity aspect, whether it's a game or something in life, something medical, whatever that means, financial. All that stuff is all there for you, and I I can see where you, from your experience, how that would become part of who you are.
Mhm.
Because you're competitive in nature. That's an
Yeah.
aspect. A lot of people, they think that's a swear word, competitive, and it's not. It's a really good thing, and we need it in all. There's all kinds of different competitiveness, right? You're competing against your own feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
right? To drive forward and keep doing this. And like, how do I overcome this and keep moving forward? I mean, you had a company at the time and you're
Yeah.
looking to, get out of that, sell out of that. I mean, that whole experience while you're doing that, that's a lot on a plate for someone.
Yes.
Kids, everything else. So that's another, we'll call it or I'll call it more of an emotional management.
Hmm.
Okay. That's on a full plate like that. That had to be a little bit challenging.
And I think, I'm often referenced, Diana, you're always so calm. You just walk in with this calming presence, which I'm super thankful for that. I do try to stay calm and think through things before acting. And um, that take to just habits I have in my life to get up early, just pause and reflect, right? And make sure I'm ready for the day. I don't want to just charge out of bed and go take on the day. I'm also incredibly thankful I'm not in a profession that I have to react urgently all the time, like in an emergency room or in the military, right? Because that's probably not what I would be wired for.
Right.
Because I like to pause and think and stay calm under pressure. So that's not maybe not what I would be best suited for, but it has something that I've worked to just learn and work through over life because we don't take time to pause and think through before we react, we lost our freedom. Like we let the situation dictate our response instead of being proactive and thinking through what the right next step is.
Yeah, it reminds me of the thermostat thermometer,
Yeah.
right? You're a thermostat. Okay, you're going to come in and alter the temperature of the room,
Yeah.
that calm demeanor and everything else. You're not just going to come in and read. It's chaos. You're going to come in and be chaotic. You come in as chaos. You're going to calm it down. And
Right.
that's something I learned years ago. But are you that? Are you a thermometer or a thermostat? That's something everyone can ask themselves. What are you when you come in the room?
Yeah.
Do things change? Does no one care? Do you bring it down? Do you bring it up? What are you actually doing? Do you even it out? So it's comfortable, that kind of thing. And I love putting words like that to
Yeah.
situations, you know,
Yes.
because it's just something you can remember and like it's true. And then you start to think about that. And when you enter a room or a situation, whether it's one on one or 1 on 8 or whatever it is, you start to go, I got to work on that.
Yeah.
Not so much the first.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
That's
off.
right.
I used a similar analogy. I was talking to a group of secondary students last week, and I used the analogy of, are you a fountain or a drain?
I use that all the time.
Are you
Love it.
positive and bringing energy? Like at a fancy hotel, everybody wants to see the fountain, right? Is that you? Or are you the drain? Like when you walk in, is it just suck the air out of the room and nobody wants to go there? Like which one are you? Um, and those visuals help to connect to different age groups.
For sure. And it's yeah, we all know the drains. We've all run into drains, right? And what's another term? Emotional vampires. There's
Yeah.
those two, just come and suck the life right out of you. It's take all the good stuff out of you, So there's a lot of that, right? So and
Yes.
it's great when you're aware of it because as a thermostat, we'll stick with the analogy, you've got to be able to dictate that situation, just like how you react. Like you talk
Hmm.
about how do you respond? That
Yeah.
the response is a thermostat, not a thermometer, right? So it's a very, very good analogy. And we'll leave that analogy now. So I beat
Yeah.
that one to death, but it's really good. So as you're working with people too today, obviously a lot of your priorities have shifted. So you exited your business, right? Was that a number of years ago? How long was it? What was that, Diane?
That was in 2017. Like we sold, I was a part owner, like we had a team of people and
Mhm.
other companies that owned the business. We sold it to a corporate global company, and I stayed with the acquiring company for about 2.5 years, and then I
Okay.
exited from there in 2019.
All right. Good. Good. Yeah. So then it's like, what was at that time? What was the next step? 2019. You're exiting there. What's the next step for you? Kind of fill
Yeah,
us in on
so
the gaps here.
it was prior to selling the company, one of my passion areas was culture and core values and building a winning team that worked well together. And many people would mention that was my favorite company that I've ever worked at because the culture and everything was just so great. Like it was a team, right? I knew what a team felt like. And once we sold and became a part of that global larger organization, that started to fall apart because there wasn't that same passion there. And so as I was, that was actually what drove me to leave that organization. I had opportunities, I had a good role, I was leading a team, but the values were looked good on a website or on paper, but they were not lived out, and they were not lived out by the highest leaders of the organization. That's a personal conflict to me. Like I leaders lead,
Yep.
and I chose to step away in that scenario. And from that season, I shifted into consulting for a period of time, working on consulting related to the Salesforce system and implementations, as well as the people side of that consulting. So it's one thing to implement technology, but you're also implementing a lot of change for
Right.
the people within the organization. And so I was in that season during COVID. So there was a lot of COVID related projects that I was, on the ground to help for. But then that also helped me to realize that my focus was more on the people side of change, whether it was leadership or teamwork or communication. And so there I started my shift to focus more on that consulting element that's focused more around developing people and leaders and teams.
Yeah, you made a really good point. I tell all that it starts at the top.
Yeah.
It starts with if I see a problem in a company, I go to the top and I start there to find the problem. Now, in all transparency, what sometimes it is I know the problem's up there, but I have to come back down here and fix some immediate tactical problems
Hmm.
because the one who is the problem, just being honest here, doesn't want to fix himself right now or herself. So I'll go fix some other things and I'll build some trust and I'll build some
Yes.
rapport and do some things. I'm going to get to you because you're the real problem. So don't think when I fix this, I'm going to be done because my real target's on you. So I love that you said that. I even in my kids have worked at a fast food place, this big franchise place, and I see the issue and I hear what they're talking about. I'll be there and I go, yep, that's Bill. Yep, he's
Hmm.
it's I know it's the owner, but they don't. They finger point and they do the whole thing all the time. But that's a whole different animal, the fast food thing. But I always tell people you've got entry level kids, teenagers,
Hmm.
then you got seniors working for something to do, people
Yes.
to talk to. Then you got frustrated middle aged managers screaming at people because the kids don't know what they're doing, and the seniors they care, but they don't care. Like they could go home tomorrow, and it wouldn't matter, right? So kind of it's like a funny model. It works, but it is
Hmm.
what it is, So there's
Right.
kind of try to lead those teams. You want a challenge, try to make that because like what I talk about often now, what I've run into, and you see this too, I'm sure. There's 5 generations working
Yeah.
together right now. Oh
Hmm.
gosh, you talk about herding cats. I mean, what has been your kind of you see it, you may be working
Yeah.
with it, how challenging is it for you?
It's I actually been using some material around a new kind of diversity by Tim Elmore, which is all about generational diversity, addressing the
Yeah.
topic, right? The 5 different generations in the workplace. And using that with a change management team that I do training with every other week because their focus is around training on technology. And so that rears its head pretty quickly when you have multiple generations in the same classroom to teach around a technology initiative or change because the older generations are immediately not as comfortable, right? It's technology, it's taking my job, it's different than how I've done it. The younger generation is like, yeah, just move on, I got this, right? And so you within one room, right? You are
Right.
trying to balance all of that and trying to work on there's advantages to both, right? Each generation has some advantages to their how they're wired and they can help each other. And so reverse mentoring can be pretty workable thing, right? Particularly if you look at technology, right? The younger generation can really mentor the older generation with how to use technology and how to be comfortable with it. And the older generation has things that they can mentor the younger generation on, but it can go both ways. It doesn't have to be a one-way mentoring relationship.
Yeah, you're right. The challenge what I've been finding is it's the communication of the two different directions.
Yeah.
Okay, like yeah, I mean because someone who's like young and really good, technology is just an extension of their hand.
Yeah.
Okay, is gets really frustrated really fast when the other person, I don't know. I
Hmm.
don't understand. They're not getting it. They don't even have a base, so it can be really difficult. So you got to kind of pick out who's got some training capability, like
Yeah.
they're a teacher trainer. Like find that young person, and then
Right.
bring them in because you're going to have a higher chance of success, and then vice versa. How do these people? How does boomers? Okay,
Yeah.
Gen X. How are we communicating with Gen Alphas without
Yeah.
slapping them?
Right.
Okay, so it's really a mix. It's fascinating. I love it because I think what a challenge, what an opportunity to take any skills you have and work it in that situation. And
Hmm.
that's making you a top level performer if you really think about it.
Yes. No, and it's so important to spend the time to try to understand and relate. We talked about empathy prior to prior to jumping on together today, right? It applies, right, in these situations, but I think it's probably really hard for it's hard to picture what it's like to be in somebody's shoes when it's that broad of a generational gap.
Right.
Um, and it takes some listening and some question asking. I don't think you just automatically get it. One thing as we were talking that sparked my mind was when during our COVID timeframe, the generation that was first in line for vaccines in Florida, which is where I am, was, over 85. And so we had built a technology solution in coordination with the state and FEMA to get them their shots first and to get them registered and make sure you're tracking everything. Well, that's not the generation that's going to be the easiest to log in, create an appointment, and go through that. And I can remember like the day the vaccine launched in Orange at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando. I was there with lines of cars, and I couldn't tell you how many people over 85, they just handed me their cell phone, please help me like do this. And I got offers to, will you marry my grandson? Will you do all
Yeah,
these
right.
things, right? Because there was such a gap, right, of what we were asking them to do versus what they felt comfortable doing. And they so wanted, to be free again, in a sense. So those memories will never leave my mind, but that was certainly an in the action scenario of generational diversity and an opportunity to step in and help.
Yeah, I see it on the floors, working manufacturing and things like that. You get those gaps are, one generation you can just tell to do something, they do it. Another
Hmm.
one wants to know why.
Yes.
And if we've all had kids and they're like 3, we get a lot of whys, right? It kind of that's what it reminded me. I have 6 kids. I
Yeah.
I got a lot of whys when they grew up, and there's a time when I can give the explanation. There's a time when you do it because I said so, right? But you have to know where that is. But
Hmm.
when a generation is more focused, and this is totally okay, on the why and the purpose. See,
Hmm.
I actually like that. So
Yep.
what I help companies to do is we need to define the purpose. And this is actually the best exercise for the owner, talking about starting at the top.
Yes.
Why do you actually do this?
Mm.
Like, do you have something built out, written out? People can see, can they get behind the vision of where this whole place is going? If they can't, you have an expectation that isn't translating.
Yes.
Okay. Because
They're
they
not
have,
connecting.
and you can pay them more, but it's not going to make them happy or better.
Hmm.
Okay. It's just going to get
Yeah.
more money to be miserable. Okay. And
Yes.
still leave. Okay. So it's really it's just fascinating, the whole thing. And that's why I love that you're out building teams. You understand the team aspect. That's what I did in my businesses. It was always about just everyone gelling. I remember clients would tell me, we built custom water features. These guys are out digging holes, they have a machine, putting in boulders and doing all this stuff, right? And I come in a day, or I talk to my clients, maybe when the project's done, I go, I got to tell you, it was such a pleasure just to watch your guys work. They don't
Hmm.
talk to each other. They all had the thing to do. One guy's whistling, and they're just working. They're working hard, but you could just see. I go, yeah, I know. I tried to help them a couple times, but they don't let me.
Mm.
I jump in the hole and I start doing something like, we don't do that right now. I go, okay, I'll go over here and start doing this. I go, we don't do that now either. And I'm like, you want me to go get lunch? And they go, that'd be great. So I'm like, okay, they don't need me. Okay, they got this figured out. My team is dialed in exactly how it should be. I just kind of wanted to do something. So, they go make a sculpture, go weld and do something in the shop. We don't need you out here. So it was okay. But I love that aspect, and that fine oiled, really cohesive is what
Mhm.
I strive for when I work with companies. The same thing.
Mhm.
Be on the same page. Can we work? Can we achieve? What's the goal? Why are we doing it? And you put that package together,
Yeah.
and the compliance, if you will, is a lot easier to get.
Mhm.
Because they can see a purpose, but they always see an end, and they can see results.
Yeah.
They like I like to tell people, how do they succeed on the day, the week, the month, the quarter, the year? If they
Yes.
know what winning is daily, guess what they'll do? They'll win, and they'll like to
Mhm.
come to work because you know why? They get to win. It's hard to
Yeah.
win out here in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you can
Yeah.
go someplace for 8 hours and win, like that's a place you want to go to. It's like going and relaxing. Not
Yes.
quite. But
You win, you're on a team with somebody and they all care about doing it together. There's sometimes work is the only place people get to do that.
it's true. I remember back in the day when I was really working hard, my first business of 20 years. I mean, I kind of joked about it, but people ask me, I go, listen, I go to work to relax. I go, you don't have six little kids. Like that's chaos. I come home, it's not chaos, but it's chaos compared to my
Mhm.
structured day and the things I can do. I'm like, Monday's a favorite day of the week. I'm a big Monday, big fan of Monday. I go to work, so the weekend it was hard, but I'm just, that people don't kind of put that perspective in there, but it matters, that structure, that purpose, that drive, that's what teams do, right? They understand the goal and
Yeah.
where they're going on a daily basis.
And I think like when there's a goal that's defined and everybody understands it and they get why they're headed to a different direction, it helps them to work together better and to help hold each other accountable. Um, which I've worked in the scenarios where that doesn't work, right? They don't know how to work together. They don't know how to hold each other accountable. And then it just creates a lot of mess, right? There's a
Mhm.
lot of talking about each other, going above, and all these different things, right? It's not fun either, right? And I have always looked at, I'm going to spend a majority of my time in my life working. So I want to enjoy what I'm doing and enjoy the people I'm with because that's where I'm spending a large portion of my time.
Yeah, it's a huge percentage when we work. I wonder, sometimes I like to get your kind of point of view on this too, is when we're talking about teams and people working together in goals, because what I've been learning over the years is that just a goal isn't really a motivator from the work sense, right? Like they get the goal. It seems a lot of times the goal is like, well, that's for that guy, the guy at the top who's doesn't do what he says.
Right.
Okay. But you're fulfilling a goal for them.
Yeah.
So you really have to, what I've learned to do is put it like, well, if we have to take this, build this, and deliver it here, okay, that's not the goal. How many can we get out? The goal is like, well, where does it go from here? Who gets
Right.
this and why do they get it? What does it do for their life? Why do we
Yeah.
even bother making like that? I think you have to kind of leapfrog over that and find that. And that's the vision you drive with people on the floor, with the
Mhm.
people on the team, right? You really want to understand that, like, that's the purpose they're looking for.
Yeah.
They want to work for purpose. They don't want to work in money. I always go, it's purpose, quality feedback, and quality pay. Right. That's the things they want. They want recognition. Quality feedback is the recognition part. And they also want to be told if they're doing it wrong and how to fix it.
Right.
Everyone's afraid to
Yeah.
do that. They're
Yeah.
gonna quit.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe it's how you do it.
Right. Yeah.
Which
Exactly.
you tell them they're doing it wrong. But really it's that mentoring, that coach. I call it coaching on the floor,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
you're not the boss, you're the coach.
Yeah.
So the problem, you got to coach them. Show them how to do it. Help them
Yeah.
out. Watch them, let them do it. Show them, let them do it. Take that path, and you'd be amazed at how receptive they are to that. Because
Hmm.
no one wants to do things wrong.
Right.
They
Agree.
just, but for lack of instruction, they will
Agree.
do everything wrong. If you leave it up
Yeah.
to them to figure out, like people, they'll figure it out. No, they won't.
Well,
And
isn't it? Sometimes they'll figure it out if they feel comfortable asking a question or asking for help. But it's those scenarios where it's not even healthy, where they don't feel comfortable asking for help, and so then you're caught in this tough scenario of, yeah, they're not going to figure it out, and there's going to be a lot of damage in the middle.
yeah, I think that goes back to the culture point you talked
Hmm.
about. That culture, that has to be a part of the culture, that you can ask the questions. You can question things. Like I'm big on efficiency, and
Hmm.
I'm naturally drawn to doing things more efficiently than others. Let's just say I see things that are like, I can fix that, make it more, okay, do that. And I've done it forever. Right. So it's like you have to have a willingness, the team from
Yeah.
supervisor management, to accept that, like, hear that. We are always trying to improve. That's it.
Yeah.
We're not going to take some goofy, ridiculous thing you come up with, like, hey, we need a guillotine in the corner. We don't need that. But like, I'm just saying we really need that openness to discuss these things, run them by. But I always also teach them a method.
Hmm.
Like we have a really cool problem solving method we use. It's the three S's.
Yeah.
It's situation, right? Suggestions and solutions,
Hmm.
right? And it's just, here's the situation. Before you come talk to me, here's the situation. Here's two or three solutions I think might work, and here's my suggestion, right? Like, this is what I think, I'd go with B, not A. Then come in with that, man, that's a short conversation. And if
Yes.
if B to me works, I'm gonna say, nice job, go with B. Or I'll say, oh, B might be a little bit, what's gonna happen if you do B? This and this. You don't know that, but that's what's gonna happen. A is the way to go. Go do A. Like,
Hmm.
and man, now you start to create a culture of problem solvers,
Yes.
So I love it.
Which is a great, like, you're creating problem solvers and solution oriented people versus like problem dumpers, right? Like, here's
Exactly.
all these problems, and if they're not thinking through the solution, they're missing out on their opportunity to be leading up, as well as being, taking on a different level of contribution to the team.
Yeah, and I think, to your point, when we talk about these generations, okay, and I think whether it's Alpha, Gen Z, especially, they have not been trained in problem solving, in
Mm,
solution creation. Okay, and I'm just saying, the school system's not really designed for that. Okay, so they're not being put in these positions where they have to create these solutions, and how are they going to solve these problems? It's not like, 2 plus 2 kind of thing. It's really
right.
different scenarios. So for me, if the business doesn't have a culture of training that, they're
Hmm.
always going to have an uphill battle. Always.
Yeah.
It's going to be firefighting all the time. It's all
Hmm.
tactical, no strategy. It's just
Yeah.
putting out fires all the time.
Which is not funny there.
Oh no. It's a great way not to grow your business.
Right, exactly. No, it certainly is. I can remember like years ago when before we sold DME Automotive, we were working on culture and values, and we had somebody come in and challenge us and say we weren't accountable, which had me diving in more around, okay, like what does that mean to be accountable, and how do we build that across the team? And one of the things we incorporated was a book by John Gordon called The No Complaining Rule, which I don't know if you've ever read that book,
I
but
haven't read that one though.
it's a
I like the
fabulous,
title though.
yeah, it's a fabulous short little read, but the concept is there's no mindless complaints, which is a mindless complaint is, I don't like the weather. I don't like how this job is. Like, there's no solution. And you need to make it justified. So it's got to be, you have to come with 1 to 2 solutions, like to your point earlier, and be talking to somebody that can do something about it. And if you can't make it justified, then it doesn't need to come out of your mouth. And that was when we worked to incorporate that, we had fun with it as well, right?
Mhm.
But the amount of time wasted in organizations with the negativity, with the drains, like we were talking about earlier,
Mhm.
is like a high number, right? And nobody enjoys that either. So how do
Mhm.
we get to like this positive? So we're looking at justified like complaints or solutions. It really changes an organization and the people.
Yeah, I think that's an overall life lesson. It's good
It
to do that
is.
everywhere you go. You'll have better friends, okay, if you do that.
Yes.
Because it's just, and I'm thinking about that because I'll catch myself sometimes and kind of going down that little bitter, little angry at someone, everyone, everything else. I'm like, well, just go, I got to figure it out. Like, stop that. Either go address it, to the person or whatever the situation is, but really create the solution.
Right.
Why do I really not like that? Oh, it hurt my ego. Okay, well, I guess I'm not going to go call him out. I'm just going to suck it up and be okay because it's an ego thing. Okay, it's just a pride thing, so I'll be okay. And it is taking those moments to figure that out. That's really helpful. But like you said, it's the same when people come. I had a client in manufacturing, and the young guys working for him. Just
Hmm.
they couldn't solve. If the saw broke, went down, they just sat down for 30 minutes.
Ah,
They just sat down and looked at it. And then after that, they'd walk in the owner's office. The saw's broken. And he keeps telling me this over. Like I'm like, okay, well, what do you do? He goes, well, I go and I fix it. I go, okay, well, that's wrong.
uh,
Like you can't go and fix it. What do you have to do? Get a pen out. I just So what do you do? What's your troubleshooting process? And he tells me all this, and we call the company. I'll send a picture. Okay, put all that, laminate it, put it on the saw, bring everyone over, and say, you see this list? When the saw stops working, you're going to
mm,
start here at the top and work your way all to the bottom. And until you've done all of that and it's still not working, will you come in to talk to me? Because this will solve it 9.9% of 9.9 out of 10 times. Right.
yeah,
And he's like, oh, I go, free yourself, my man.
right.
You don't need that. You're trying to get work done when they're popping in with these dumb things. And we started building that throughout.
Hmm.
All the and it's like it's super simple. Like we say that now. Well, that's obvious. It's not obvious. Everywhere I go, they don't have this stuff. They
Yeah.
don't have the process and everything else. And as soon as you do, and the other people are actually thankful because
Hmm.
they sit there for 30 minutes because they feel stupid and
Yes.
they don't want to go tell anyone they're stupid, okay, or feel stupid, right? So there they sit and they finally go, well, I'm not getting anything done. I better go in and tell them. Like they were working on it for 30 minutes and couldn't figure it out.
Right.
Right? So it's just
Yeah.
just one of those examples that when you put those things in perspective like that, like, wow, I'm as an owner, I'm not doing my job.
Yeah.
I'm not equipping them to solve these problems. And if I'm not doing that, again, back to the top, it's
Yeah.
my fault. I have
Yeah.
to take the hit for that.
Well, and sometimes it takes somebody like you from the outside coming in to observe to point those things out
Yeah.
because you can easily get caught in the routine and not even realize like the frequency or the opportunity
Mhm.
cost that is happening with that. So
100%. I call it outside eyes, right? The outside,
yeah.
I come in, I just, as I, you know, kind of humorously say, man, you guys are all doing the right, wrong things. I'm going to fix this in a heartbeat. You know, you all doing the same wrong stuff, cause, and I did it too. I'm
Yes.
in it and you're in it. There's blinders, there's stuff you just can't see because you're too close. And that's, that's the, that's the maturity of an owner who can bring in the coach, bring in the outside eyes, bring those people in because it's like overnight change.
Hmm.
Probably done it for companies, I'm sure. They come in, they're like, oh, that, wow. They just, it's kind of astounding. You're kind of the magician.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like, okay, yep, poof, I'm gone. I gotta go. But it's a cool place to be in, but it's the best part is seeing it change a company culture. That's
Yeah.
that's where the reward for me is, seeing that work like that and hum and people getting along and the business going up. And so everybody wins in that whole chain. That's what I love.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think I've had people ask, like, how do you how do you go in and help them? And I was like, well, usually I don't recommend saying, the baby's ugly, right? Or you have a poor culture. You look for ways to get in the door, to spend time with the
Yep.
team, and you earn the right to talk about like opportunities or to point out things that you see. It doesn't just come from, you know, telling them, yeah, your culture sucks, right? That's
Yeah.
probably not going to get you in the door.
Yeah, I go and I do like a 3 to 4 hour on-site assessment, a
Hmm.
diagnostic of the whole thing, and I interview people, talk to them. I'm down there. I mean, I'm talking frontline guys, or supervisors, guys doing the basics, and walk through. I give them a little quick pulse survey. They answer like 3 quick questions. It's just
Yeah.
anonymously. I bring all this data and it all computes everything, and I'm like, here's the results. So now it's not like I'm not saying anyone's name. I go, here's the gaps that I see. Here's the ROIs that are attributed to that you could gain if you
Yeah.
can fix these things. And they go, oh, I didn't even know. I go, yeah, it's okay. Most people don't. That's why I'm here.
Right.
Doing this,
Yeah.
and it's really simple. It's never, like you said, it's never pointing the finger.
Right.
It's like, hey man, there's some great stuff we can do here.
Hmm.
This would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I always make it like it's going to be a good time.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
No,
yeah, it's
it
but like
is. Well,
work. Yeah, like I say, well, like working out, it's not fun during. It feels great after. Okay.
right. There we go. That's a
Yeah.
good that's a good analogy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, I love this topic because I think what people really have to get a hold of, again, going back to the multiple generations, the 5 generation thing, is like, that's the challenge of today. Now,
Yeah.
next 5 years, 10 years, one of those generations is going to be out completely, right? They're here
Hmm.
longer than they intended. I was going to say intended, right? But it is what it is. But the
Hmm.
experience they have is massive.
It is.
Decades and decades of doing it. And like, you're gonna discount that? Like, I'm
Mhm.
glad they stayed. Well, use that, but how do you extract that right in the
Yeah.
right way and share it down 4 different generations? It's really, to me, I love the challenge.
Hmm.
I love the challenge of that, because a lot of people just throw their hands up and complain that no one wants to work.
Right.
It's a lie. It's like, yes, those people are out there. They've always been there. Okay, like that never goes away. It's
Yeah.
you're
It's
always gonna.
figuring out how to connect with them differently to inspire them. Like it's we can't do it the same way we've always done it and expect the same results. There's like
Yeah,
a pivot that's needed.
right, and that isn't true leadership.
Right.
I mean, true leadership is the day, man, where we're at, what we're doing now. It's this is what a leader has to overcome. And at the same time, the great leaders create more leaders.
Right.
Like, if
Yeah.
you can't deal with these multiple generations, you can't learn to reach them, like, you're not going to create more leaders.
Right.
You're going to be an island unto yourself. You're going to be the guy who rules by whatever fear, and you want direct obedience, all this kind of stuff. But you've got to understand, like, your ultimate goal for me is always to create more leaders.
Hmm.
And that's when things really run well. When we have a deep bench,
Yes. Yeah.
you need a deep bench. You
You
can't
need a
just,
deep
like,
bench to grow and scale. Yeah.
yeah, because you can't, again, and you also become a hostage of the 1 or 2 people who can lead. I'm Eric Woden, right? It's like, who
Yeah.
wants that? When you're sick for 2 weeks, everything grinds to a halt. I got to have people to step. It's kind of a Marine Corps thing too. Like, you just keep going down the rank. You'll be a lance corporal, you're running a whole platoon. It doesn't matter. It could be whatever. And we're all ready to step up in that position. We're prepared to take that role
Mhm.
without hesitation. And if you can create that in a company, not in a I don't, the word slipping, but not in man, like Bible days. Well, the son killed the king because he wanted to be the king. So, like, go like kill the king so I can be the king. I don't mean that. Like, I'll get rid of the leader so I can become the leader. But like, really just understanding you can step in whenever needed, and your time will be called, and you'll be able to step up and take that position. Or if you move on, you've got leadership training to take to the next place you go.
Yeah. No, there's so many people that I've worked with that have been hesitant to hire somebody that's like better than them in certain
Yeah.
areas or to build that well-rounded team. And that's so self-limiting because if you can't, you're only as good as the people around you. And if you're not confident enough to hire people that report into your teams that have higher skill sets than you or that complement you, you're going to limit yourself as well as your whole team and organization.
Yeah, I don't want someone who's not as good as me. Someone better. Okay, I
Yes.
don't. That ego went away a really long time ago. Okay, I'm like, I need the best. I need the best everywhere here because I'll take care of them. We'll build out the system. We have everything. The best will come to a place that's dialed in too. So there's 2 points to this, right? You
Right.
want
Yep.
people who are great, but if you haven't built a lane for them to thrive in, well, they're probably not coming. And if they do,
Right.
they're not staying.
They're not staying.
They're
Yep.
not going to come drop into your hot mess. Okay, they're not there to fix your business. Okay, they're
Right.
there to take their skill and use it and again know how to win on the day, the week, the month, the whole thing, right?
Mhm.
So I always try to explain that to a lot of business owners because they haven't built these things out. They haven't thought out far enough for that. And they wonder why people don't stay. Turnover is a big
Mhm.
thing, you know that.
Yes.
And
Yep.
and why? And like we'll figure out why. Well, because there's no structure. Again, there's no success. There's nothing's here for them. You tell them to figure it out or just do it, or it's I call it the mystery job. Every day is a mystery. What you're going to do? They hit you from every angle, back of the head,
Yeah.
whatever. You're getting all this stuff. And you're like, I can't. This is every day is chaos. Who
Yeah.
wants to go to that?
Yeah. Nobody does.
Yeah, it's just and again, it's sometimes just like the little light bulb goes off. Go, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, hmm, you haven't thought of that? Yeah, but they don't. And again, I can't beat them up too much because I was kind of that way. I
Right.
I got a good team because I wanted a good team. I did a lot of other stuff wrong in my business, but the team thing I had dialed in. That was really good. But I had plenty of other stuff to screw up.
Just so we keep learning and growing, right? That's,
Well, that's
we're
what
gonna
it's
screw
about.
up, but we've got to learn
Yeah,
from it. Yes.
and that's another cultural thing. Is
Hmm.
that's what's expected on the floor, or you have someone who's demanding absolute perfection all the time, and the slightest infraction is you're fired. I've all
Hmm.
been to those places too.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yep.
you're I don't even have a word. Unreasonable doesn't even say it. It's like you don't you have to like you have to you get, the proverbial got to get in their shoes.
Right.
And I'll do that with my clients a lot. I go, okay, like they're going off. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give you the other side. Let me be
Yes.
the other side, which you're not taking into account. And I'll
Hmm.
just walk them through that and go, okay, I guess that makes sense. I go, okay, see, you don't take those moments to think what's coming from the other direction, you know?
Yeah. No, what's it like to be on the other side of me?
Well, what's funny too, Diana, is I do that with marketing with them too.
Hmm.
That you're marketing like to yourself. You're
Yeah.
speaking in your terms in the business. I just need the toilet fixed. I don't need to know how. I don't care what you call it. Just do it. Like
Right.
just tell me how my life's going to be better when my toilet works. That's what I want
Right.
to know. Okay, like so, but they're also inside baseball,
Yeah.
and they're advertising everything else. Like you're not communicating properly, right? You don't understand who you're speaking to. You need to go their side and go, what do they want to hear? What
Yes.
is their actual problem? And how do you communicate the simplicity of solving it
Hmm.
at high value and they're willing to pay you and start today? And,
Yes.
and training people is no different. It really isn't.
Yeah, no, everybody is wired differently in terms of how they communicate or how they connect information. And that is one area I like to spend time training on is to think through, just because I like to communicate all the details and the facts. I don't, but if I were that type
Right.
of person, that does not mean the person I'm talking to receives information that way. Like I need to be conscious of that when I'm communicating, or we likely miss the boat. So.
Yeah, very, very true. And what's interesting is I thought about this because I like what you're saying there. Like even when so my brand, okay, think about what it is and spears and sharpen the spear and all
Mhm.
this. Like I could soften it because I get like, oh, you soften for this executive. And I go, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Do you know why? Because when I get on the floor,
Yeah.
they're going to see one thing. So I'm not tricking anyone. I want them
Hmm.
to know what they're getting. Okay. So I'm like, I'll be okay if they don't want me because it's not going to work anyways.
Hmm.
If I come in and they're not, so I get it. And I'm like, look, there's plenty of other people to help them. That's how I look at it. Because some people say, well, you're too narrow. I go, oh, I'm not. And this is why. And I've done this over years. And I've decided that this is what works best for me.
Hmm.
Because I don't need to help everybody
Right.
because you never can.
Yes.
So if I can, I have to get that initial alignment in some aspect to be able to actually execute the things that I can do, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Focus in your sweet spot or your target areas. Yes.
Yeah, you'll be happier. Just saying. You're going to live a happier life if you do that. You're not fighting
Right.
battles uphill.
We can't help
Battles,
everybody.
that's right. The battles are all going to be there in all different shapes and sizes. You just go pick yours. Okay. There's
Yes.
always plenty of battles to fight. So it's really good. So, really great. Yeah. I love this conversation, Dana, because I don't think people talk in these terms enough.
Mm.
I don't think they're, in my experience, they're just not approaching this culture development. A lot of companies just don't have it. They don't have a culture.
Yes.
They have
Yes.
mission statements. That's all they have,
Yeah.
which is wallpaper. Okay. I have this thing I tell people, I come to your company and I'm working with you and you have a mission statement that goes in the garbage can. I take it down and throw it out because that only serves the owner.
Right.
They don't care if you want to be the best at this and this and this. Again, it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Like you need vision.
Yeah.
What's the vision, not the mission? Missions are all little things that go on every day.
Hmm.
Okay. But the vision is what we're all trying to fulfill at the same time
Yeah.
together. If we can get that, wow, that's powerful. So I like to see more people talking about this, like you, and people engaging them and
Yeah.
actually making these changes because if we don't do that, we have a failed workforce,
Yes.
and that doesn't benefit anybody.
We have a field workforce and we have like people that are frustrated sitting there going, okay, there's these core values on the wall, but our leaders don't lead it, but yet they tell us about it. Like it doesn't create any type of willingness to work together or to be vested. It's
Yeah.
they're just kind of sitting there
Yeah.
versus willing to dive in and commit.
Yeah, I agree. It's congruency, right? It's like
Yeah.
that just put that word on the congruency. It's that. And I've been with you're talking all this, you're teaching all this, but you don't do any of this.
Right.
I kind of not good with that.
Hmm.
Okay. It kind of invalidates you as
Yes.
an authority. So you got to be careful. I have to be careful, right? Like I have to do it. I'm pretty good at doing what I say, much to some people's frustration. I'm not, I'm not a big compromiser, on values and things like that. I don't do any of that, but, but yeah, I just love the conversation for all of this that we're putting out there on the table and your story itself, what you've overcome, all the adversity, all the stuff you've done. It's really impressive, Diana, and you're still driving forward. I love it.
Yes.
Just there's more people to help, more teams create, and it's just fantastic. So, what do you got going on for the future? How can people follow you, catch up, whatever you got? Share it with us now.
Yeah, I'd love for people to connect with me on LinkedIn. Diana Fritz. There could be multiple Diana Fritz, but there's only going to be one that has this look. So if you look at pictures, you'll find me quickly. You can also go to my website, which is grituiuq.com, and there's a way to connect with me there and just follow me on different blogs and social media.
Oh, I love it. That's great. Oh, I'll share. You got the grit in I'll share mine. You'll love it. It's cool.
Yeah, so my grit stands for grace, resilience, influence, and trust. And so that's like a model I like to use to hold myself to.
I
So
like it. I
yeah.
have not made an acronym. Mine's
Oh,
just grit because I'm gritty.
yeah.
It's my thing. Because I have you. So I'm making an assumption, but I could be wrong. Have you read Grit by Angela Duckworth?
I
The
have not
book?
yet.
Oh
No.
my! Oh, put it on the reading list.
Okay, all right.
Brilliant researcher, really great book. It's got the grit scale. Take your little test and see where you land on the grit scale. Yeah, I think you might be up there like me. I'm a 97%.
Okay, all
Grit.
right.
So it's a friend of mine gave me this. He goes, "You got this? You ever read this?" I go, "No." He goes, "It's about you. You got to read So I go, okay, I got it. I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm 300 and some pages worth, but this is a great book. You'll really enjoy it. So it's
All
really
right,
great.
I wrote it down.
Yes, you'll love it. All right. Well, guys, this has been just so much fun, as I knew it would be. Just great. You just sharing everything, Diana, and we look forward to people connecting with you. You're just
Yes.
doing that fun on LinkedIn and everything else, and just continue this conversation and watching what you do here in the future. I know there's big things ahead for you and for everybody else. We'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.